Okay, we should be on as soon as this kicks in. And we're live.
Okay.
And Laura's already here. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura. How's the other side of Toronto?
Yeah. And we'll just see who else is going to join us. And we were just discussing what we're going to discuss today before we do the big tour. That was asked for.
Janine.
Oh, you see it already? Janine's here. Hello, Janine. Janine, are we saying your name right? Is it Janine? Is that how you say it?
Jules.
How come you see everybody first? Oh, you see everybody first.
They're popping out.
No. Oh, here we go. Hi, Jules. Hi, Roberta. So, Roberta, are you new? And if so, welcome. If not, welcome anyways. With it, I'm trying to think if I've seen your name come up before. Maybe you're one of our lurkers, but that's okay. We have lots of lurkers. I guess I think it's safe to be a lurker. So, we are into our cocktails as we wait here for others. And it's, again, Walter's
Mixed berries.
Mixed berries. Mixed berries and what's in it for booze? Vodka?
Sourpuss liqueur, and a little bit of vodka.
Ah, Genie. It's pronounced Genie. Okay. Genie. Oh, I see. Okay. I changed the... okay.
She's been watching it for a couple of months. Dana's here.
Oh, hi, Dana. Greens for hot, sunny Regina. Yeah, it's sunny here and warm. I haven't been outside today. I don't know what the
Yeah, it's really
temperature's.
hot today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Laura says the other side of Toronto is hot. Yep. Well, I don't complain about the heat in the summer because we don't get it that long. I mean, everybody starts to bitch about it. And then,
well, in Canada, you either bitch
Yeah.
about the hot, cold weather, or you bitch about the
and
hot weather.
then in like 2 months' time, we hit the cold weather. So, and actually, we're in the sunniest part, pretty much next to BC of Canada. So, I mean, Dan out in Regina, like, you'll probably get frost in August. So,
I think you've been getting more rain out there than we have.
yeah, we've been a little dry. Our patio garden, though, is doing pretty good. We have lettuce coming out of the yin-yang. I don't think we've ever ate so many fresh salads as we have in the last few weeks. And now you said our tomatoes are coming on.
Yeah.
So we got cherry tomatoes and that. It's all container gardening that we're trying.
Yeah, because we have so many rabbits that come through here. If I put it out in the garden, regular garden, it'd probably be eaten.
Yeah, the bunnies would get it. You can't grow anything in the backyard without the bunnies getting at it.
And lately, skunks too. So
Oh, the skunks,
I
yeah.
don't think skunks eat. I don't know if skunks eat vegetables. I think they eat grubs and stuff.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, that's probably why they're out in the yards, because there's a lot of grubs in the yard.
Probably. Okay, so let's get going. Other people will probably join us as we do so. Update on my mother. Well, I'm making plans for her birthday. Her birthday is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. It's on the 15th of August, so dead center of August. And of course, they have the rules at the nursing home about visiting. And they have sort of lightened up on them a little bit. Well, you still can't go inside for a visit. You still have to book a time well in advance. And you get 30 minutes. Now, they're allowing 2 people at the same time to visit one resident. Before, it was only 1 person. And before, you were supposed to show them that you had proof that you had a COVID test within the 2 weeks before you booked your appointment, your visitation time, and that it came back negative. Well, they have removed that now for outside visits, but they're still not letting anybody do inside visits except for people who they declare essential. caregivers. I guess there are some people in there, they have family members in there and they go in and they help feed them and things like that. Or there are some people who act as volunteers, I guess, to help out the staff. So they can still go inside, but of course they have to prove that they are COVID free, and it's all done under certain restrictions. So it's my mother's 80th birthday this year. And so I guess I've already booked a time. I couldn't, her birthday actually falls on August the 15th, as I already said, but August the 15th is a Saturday. And at first I was going to book it for the day of, and then when I looked at their booking system, they don't take any bookings on Saturdays and Sundays, so I guess you can't visit anybody on a weekend. Probably have less staff or something, I don't know why that is. But, so I booked it for the day before, on the Friday. I wanted to book it for the morning, but I couldn't do that either. There's no appointments in the morning. They all start at about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon. So I checked with my sister, because it'll just be her and I that'll be going over, and she said that was fine. So I've got it booked, and then I checked with the nursing home staff to find out, you know, what can we bring in. I knew you couldn't bring any food in or anything like that, but you know, I have a philodendron that I rooted back in the early spring, or even earlier than that, from our main philodendron, and it's now in a pot and everything, and I was going to take that over to my mother's because everything she touches she kills, and well, it's because she doesn't touch them, they die, because no one seems to water them over there, and now that we can't really go inside, we can't water it either when we go over for a visit. So I thought with philodendrons, you know, they're pretty hardy, but Walter doesn't think I should bother with it.
Yeah, they're pretty hardy, but they do need some water.
Yeah.
So,
but anyways,
maybe leave it until we can, when it gets to the point where if we ever can go back in on a regular visit.
Yeah. So my sister was talking about getting my mother some new tops. I guess she doesn't need any bottoms. I guess she just, I don't know, what do they do? Let her run around naked? No, I don't think so. So I said to my sister, well, if you feel comfortable enough going out and getting that kind of thing, then okay, and you know, I'll share the expense. So I guess that's what we're going to do. But we can't give this stuff to my mother directly. We have to be 6 feet away from her when we come to visit her. We have to wear our masks. We have to have, you know, sanitizer, the whole bit. The staff will take whatever we bring, and they will hang on to it for 48 hours. Basically put it in quarantine kind of a thing, and then give it to her. So it'll be something anyways. I haven't informed my mother about any of this yet. I probably won't until about the week before. I mean, the one thing I'm hesitating about is not so much the way they're doing this. That's fine. I fully support the way that they're handling this, because they've kept everybody there very safe through this whole thing, because they have put these kind of procedures in place. But last year, I don't know if you remember, those of you that are regulars, because I probably talked about it. Not probably, I did, I'm sure I did. We planned to have a little family celebration for my mother at the nursing home. I had reserved one of the rooms there that they use for those kind of things. We took in some decorations. We had this gift for her and everything. My sister got a cake and the whole bit. We were going to order Chinese food and pick it up and bring it in because she likes that, and had it all set up. And then I walked up into her room and she was in bed, and I looked at her, and like, this was not a surprise. She knew we were doing all of this, and she knew when we were doing all of this. The staff knew when we were doing this as well. And there she was, and I said, "Mom, are you not feeling well?" "Well, no, I'm just don't." I said, "Well," and I went, "Oh, great." So there she is in bed. So I said, "Okay, well, I'll be back up in a few minutes." Went downstairs, said to my sister and to Walter, says, "Well, I guess it's off. Mom's in bed." So we took down all the decorations. My sister took the cake home because, and I don't know what she was thinking, but she got this huge cake. And she only lives a mile away from my mother's nursing home. So she took it home, put it in the fridge because it was a hot day and everything like that. And my mother was sick, supposedly. So we get that all cleaned up. I go back up to the room. They've got her up, they've got her dressed, and they're trying to apply a little makeup to her. And I'm looking. And at that point, I just like pretty much just threw my arms up in the air like, what the hell? What's this? 1 minute you're in bed and you're not feeling well. The next minute they're dolling you all up for a birthday party. My sister's already gone. The cake is gone. We're not ordering any food. We had her gift, so we gave her the gift and everything like that. And then it was coming time, they were getting them lined up to take them to the dining room for dinner. She turns around and says something about, oh, I thought we were having Chinese. You were in bed, you said you were sick. Suddenly, so on hindsight, I handled the whole affair wrong. I should have not jumped so quickly on the whole situation. But my mother has pulled this stunt before. And so I just figured.
No, it's so that, and then he ends up feeling bad about all of it. But it's like she did it on purpose kind of thing.
Yeah. So basically, this year, we're just I'm not gonna let her know until, because I wouldn't be surprised. We get over there for that time and they come out and they say, your mother's in bed, she's not feeling well.
Actually, yeah, Dana was saying something that had a suggestion, but actually, Dana, it's not a party. There's no party.
No.
She's just going to visit for half an hour, and it's going to be outside. It has to be socially distanced. And
Hi, Teresa.
And I don't think it would make even if he brought the gifts 3 days in advance, they still couldn't give it to them because the staff would have to give it to them.
Yeah.
Not as soon as you bring it back outside, it becomes contaminated again.
Yeah. So yeah, it's certainly not the ideal situation, but it's a situation that we're living under right now.
Yeah.
And not much more we can do about it. So we'll play it all by ear. I mean, if we get there and she's in bed, well, we'll just give the staff like the card, the gift.
Like, I mean, they could take a picture of what they've got,
Yeah.
and give it to her and say, these are your new tops. So
Yeah. Yeah, Laura, that's exactly what she is, the passive-aggressive approach. Woe is me. Oh, yeah, that is my mother.
That is true.
That is my mother, okay? This is what I lived with. This is what I've lived with for my whole life. This isn't just started because she's in the nursing home. It just got a lot worse when she got in the nursing home. I mean, my mother's in the nursing home, not because I put her in there.
Actually, she shouldn't really be in there.
No, she shouldn't
because, but she sort of put herself in there because she decided when she was living in an apartment, she was depressed or whatever, and
Hi,
she
Bonnie.
decided to stop walking. And
Yeah.
actually, she started mimicking what his father had, the problems his father had before he passed away.
And my father had problems. And you've heard us talk about it before. My father had the early stages of dementia. Actually, a little bit more in the early stages as time went on. He couldn't walk. He basically couldn't walk because the signal from his brain to make his legs go was not getting down there for one reason or another, and that was all part of the dementia and stuff like that. So I mean,
and there wasn't really anything cognitively wrong with his mother, but she decided to sort of like mimic the things that his dad was going through, and she decided to stop walking. And as much as they tried to encourage her to continue to walk or get involved in things, she refused to do it. And so it got to the point where she couldn't walk anymore. And even when she was in the hospital, she was in the hospital for 4 months. And even when she was in the hospital, the physiotherapy staff there kept trying to get her to walk. And after 4 months, they say, she's not interested, she's not motivated.
Hi, Marilyn.
They've tried everything they could with her to try and get her to walk, and she wouldn't walk.
No.
In fact, when they came in for physiotherapy sessions, she'd be in bed and she'd be feigning that she was ill because and she couldn't do the physiotherapy session.
And the nursing
So, like,
staff
I mean,
didn't know.
what do you do with something like that? You know, like, I mean, that's what she wants. And then when she went in the nursing home, she sort of complained that she was going in a nursing home. But she couldn't go into a retirement home because she needed to be more independent.
Yeah. And I think at the very beginning stages of the whole thing, she thought by going into the nursing home, she's going to be waited on hand and foot, and it was going to be like living in a hotel or something like that. Even though she knew that was not it. She knew. She had gone and seen, when we were looking for nursing homes for my dad to get him on the waiting list, that we went, she came with us, and she saw what life was like in a nursing home. Plus, her own mother had been in a nursing home as well, and that. So she knew. But that's the way my mother's always been. That aggressive, passive-aggressive is exactly what she's like. But, you know, I'm stuck with it, and I do the best I can, and she is my mother. So, and when somebody's your mother, it's a life sentence, okay, for you as the child, believe me, until the day they drop dead. Well, I know how that sounds, but you get it. So anyways, I'm hoping that we don't get over there and here, because I'll be pissed. And this will be the first time that we will have actually been able to see her in 5 months.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, and call me cruel and a heartless child if you wish. I'm really not upset that I have not been able to make weekly visits to my mother. I call her a couple of times a week. Actually, I'm cutting back on that because that's another thing she doesn't do. She doesn't answer the phone. And when I ask her, why don't you answer the phone? I let it ring 15 times. I know that she's going to have some time to get to the phone. I know that. So, but no, she doesn't answer it. And then the answer I get is, oh, well, I don't know. So, you know, that's what I'm dealing with. So like I said, call me hard.
And she doesn't really complain that she hasn't gotten any visitors. So.
Nope, she has not said. I have kept her up to date. There are no secrets between my mother and I about her situation. Nothing. I tell her everything up front. I don't keep anything from her. So since this whole thing started, I have told her what the nursing home is doing and how it works and the whole bit. And she knows. So, you know, what more can you do? Sounds like she wants to pass on. No, she doesn't. She doesn't. It would make life easier. Okay, yeah, I said that. But, I mean, yeah, it would make life a lot easier in some ways. But no, she's going to be just like her side of the family. They were all long livers. They all lived up into, well, her grandparents were 100 years old when they kicked off. Her own mother was in her 90s when she kicked off, and she chose when she wanted to go. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was a very independent woman. She had to be. She was a young widow. My grandfather, my mother's father, died in 1959, suddenly, of a heart attack. I was 2 years old, so I didn't know the man. My grandmother, up to that point in time, was a domestic goddess, housewife, whatever you want to call them. These days, you're always afraid to what you call ladies who don't have jobs and look after their home, you know, like not to belittle that task or anything. But she had to go out and get a job because she still had a son at home. My mother was married and, you know, just had her first child. Mind you, my mother was still a teenager when she had me. And so was my dad. But my dad had a job. They didn't live with my grandmother. They were out on their own. And so my grandmother had my mother's brother, my uncle. He was 2 years younger than my mother. So he was like, at the time, 15 years old. So she went out and got a job. She worked in a bat of shoes, a shoe company. She worked on the line. She made shoes. She sewed shoes and all that kind of stuff. And she did that for over 20 years. And she made all the arrangements to go eventually into an apartment, sold her house, went into an apartment, a senior residence kind of thing. Well, senior apartment, didn't have services that they do today, kind of a deal. Then she moved into an assisted living facility, and then she got herself on the list and went into a nursing home. My mother hardly never went to visit her. Well, it wasn't right in the same town where we lived. It was an hour and a bit away from us, but nevertheless. And when my mother did go, she'd do nothing but bitch and complain about that, how much of a bitch my grandmother was. Well, my grandmother was a bitch. There's no two ways about it. And one day, my grandmother just decided she wasn't eating anymore. She'd had enough. She wasn't sick. She wasn't ill. She was still in her right mind, but she had just decided, okay, I'm done with this world. And she refused to eat. And she died. So, you know, she was 93 at the time. So there you go. My mother's not like that. She wouldn't do that. No. So, yeah, like I said to my mother once, here you go, Mom. I said this back before she got in the nursing home. What's wrong with this picture? Here's my elderly mother being pushed by her elderly son down the street in the wheelchair, because technically my mother, she was 1 month off her 17th birthday when she had me. So my mother's 17 years older than me. So when my mother's 90, I'll be 73? 77.
Yeah, 73.
No,
No,
73.
73, because you're
Yeah.
63 now and she's turning 80, so she's not.
Oh, that's right, yeah, okay. Oh, I was doing the math the hard way. That's why I was an English teacher. But anyways, yeah. So, there you have it. I don't know how we got on that.
Yeah, anyway, visiting your mother. Anyway,
Yeah, well, it always sets me off about my mother. Teresa says, my mom used to be bad about that, passive aggressive, very stressful for us caregivers' daughters. Her doctor put her on an antidepressant and have to say she is fun again. She's 94. My mother was on an antidepressant as well, didn't make any difference. So she's not on it anymore.
Well, probably made her a little better, but it wasn't.
It wasn't much.
No.
Me, it should have been stronger, I don't. Yeah, my mother does, she is depressed sometimes, but then what?
Yeah, she did. She got depressed after his father died.
Yeah.
But it just like, she just never got back out of it. And and no matter what you did to try and cheer her up, she wouldn't. A lot of people get depressed when their spouse passes away, but then something happens where a trigger happens where they realize that they have to move on. And she just didn't.
Hi, Nancy. Marilyn, I don't know. I never watched The Sopranos, so I don't know what Tony Soprano's mom was like. She says, I hope she isn't like Tony Soprano's mom.
No, I never watched it either.
So I don't know that reference, but I have a feeling it's probably not a positive one. But anyways, let's get off my mother. So we'll see. That doesn't happen for another 3 weeks. So I'll let you know. So we went out this week. Just needed to get out. So we went fabric shopping, of course. There's a little place called Annie's in a couple of towns over from us.
It's a tiny little place.
Yeah, really tiny little place. But they've got fabrics there that the store I usually go to don't. So it's always nice to to check things out. Plus I wanted Christmas fabrics. And this is, for those of you that aren't quilters in that, believe it or not, this is prime time right now for buying Christmas fabrics. Problem is, a lot of the fabric places are having trouble getting it in because of the situation. Because, a lot of these fabrics are actually processed and manufactured in overseas. So that's the problem. My local quilt store, they were getting some in, but it was taking a while. So I thought, well, even if they don't have any Christmas fabrics, at least it's getting out. So we went up, and we weren't sure how they were operating. Whether you didn't say.
Everybody seems to have their own rules.
Yeah, everybody has their own rules, like whether or not you need to phone ahead for an appointment or whatnot. And we looked at their website. Well, they really don't have a website. They have a Facebook page, but it didn't tell you much. So we thought we'd just take the chance. It was a nice day, so what the heck. So we got up there, and then they had the rules laid out on the door, and basically they were only allowing one person into the store at a time. Now their store is very, very, very tiny. So, I mean, you know, a crowd is two in there. And they had disposable gloves laid out by the door. They wanted you to sanitize your hands first. They had sanitizer, put on the gloves.
And if you didn't have your own mask, they had a bucket of.
They had a bucket of masks.
Of clean masks.
Yeah,
clean cloth
clean,
masks.
Yeah. And then they come out and usher you in when it was clear. Well, there was a lady ahead of us there already, and so we said, well, she says, well, I won't be long. And that her husband, though, he said, yeah, you want to bet? He says, for every 5 minutes she's in there, I know it's costing me even more.
It says for every says if it's over 20 minutes or something, then we know it's way over $200. He says.
But anyway, so I said we're not in any rush. So we were talking to him as he was waiting for her, and then finally she was done and came out, and we could go in together because we were there together. And yeah, well, he may have said that she bought if 20 minutes to spend 200. Oh God, I can do that in 3 seconds, not a problem. And I was surprised they had a lot of Christmas fabric in. So I did buy Christmas fabric. You know, the ironic part is I don't like Christmas that much, but something about Christmas fabric gets me excited about making things with Christmas fabric. So I've got a fair amount of Christmas fabric now that I've collected, not just from that store, but from online. And they did get some in at my quilt store. And we were in there the other day, and I picked up some, and they're supposed to be getting more this week, so I may go in again and get a little bit more. But anyways, I got lots of Christmas stuff, and I got some plans for it. Just have to get to them. So that was our outing for the week. Now we did see our nephew took his wife and his 2 daughters to some place northeast of us, which is a park that has all these sculptures in it that are Zimbabwean. How would you say that? Made by artists from Zimbabwe. And he had some pictures and stuff, and we thought, maybe we'll do that next week one day on a day that's nice. Costs nothing. I think they have a gift store or something, because he said the kids bought a couple of paperweights or something there. But something different. We're just looking at opportunities. I'm still a little apprehensive about going anywhere. But everybody seems to be around our area anyways, any place we've been, everybody seems to be minding the rules. They're wearing their masks, they're sanitizing their hands. The store people are only
went to the
allowing so
grocery
many
store, and everybody was wearing masks in the grocery store.
So,
yeah, Bonnie was saying about Northcott being Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Northcott's Canadian, but I don't know if they manufacture the fabric here or not.
yeah, I don't know where they manufacture the fabric, but yeah, I love Northcott fabrics. I buy them as often. You know, their Toscana line, their O Canada line, their Stonehenge line, all of those. Yeah, they're good. But if you go to their website, you can't buy directly from them. They have a store locator that carries their products that you can put in for your area, kind of a deal. But you can't buy from them directly. You have to go through a quilt store to get them, or an online store that has them, which is kind of frustrating. But
Well, that's how a lot of manufacturers.
well, yeah, I
do
know
it,
that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still kind of frustrating.
Yeah, actually, their fabric is very good quality.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I guess, what was it that some quilting store you saw, was it up north of Sudbury? And you said the lady in there had she didn't let people touch the fabric?
No, it was near Sudbury. It was a different one. Yeah, she said that, was that she had a limited number of people that she allowed in her store, and then I think 2 people in her store at a time, and she said that she didn't want people to touch the fabric because she couldn't disinfect it.
Yeah, well, that's why the
Yeah.
Annie's had the gloves too. But that's Shirley doesn't have gloves.
No, I know when there's the COVID thing, I've read some controversial stuff as to how long the
It'll
virus will actually stay on, and they said something about that the amount of virus that ends up on any kind of product is so small that your chances of catching anything from it is kind of small, limited.
Yeah, but you know, I don't
Yeah.
trust anything they say because they seem
Yeah.
to change it every week.
Yeah.
So you never know. Hi, Deborah. Deborah says we have a whole section of our ranch dedicated to Zimbabwean sculptures. We import them from Zimbabwe. We actually used to live there when I was a kid. Now I live in Burton, Texas. Okay, so this is a thing. They call it the park Zimard.
Zimart, yeah.
Zimart.
And actually, they have a resident
Artist?
Zimbabwe artist there.
So something a little different. So we might give that a check out during the week and see what that's all about. Reason we're talking about Sudbury. Sudbury is about 4 hours, 5 hours north of us. It's where the big nickel is, and the big penny and the big dime. If you know those references. If you're Canadian, you'll know those references. If you're not Canadian, you may or may not know about
Sudbury
those.
is a big nickel mine.
Yeah, it's a big nickel mining town. Well, it's other minerals too that they used to. I don't know if they still do a lot of mining in Sudbury or not.
I don't know.
I hear they have trees now. There, at one point in time, they didn't have trees because of apparently the sulfur.
Wow.
That I think they also mined. I'm not really sure. It's something to do with that. And I remember as a kid going to Sudbury, and it was very desolate because the trees were all dead. But apparently, over the years they've been able to rejuvenate all of that. Bonnie says, "Been to Sudbury. We drove from Fredericton to Sudbury in one day."
That's a big
Wow.
drive.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, if it's 4 or 5 hours from us, and Sudbury's in my province, is in Ontario.
It's 4 hours north of us.
Jeez,
So,
that's one heck of a drive.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, we drove from Fredericton to Montreal before, and even that's a fairly good.
Yeah, I mean that's lengthy. Hope it was worth it, Bonnie.
There's probably not a whole lot there.
No, yeah, that's true. Got to North Bay and nowhere to stay, so kept on going. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sounds like North Bay.
Like Walter had this idea that we could go up there and like get a hotel room, stay overnight. I'm a little iffy about that. But then he said that's what this quilt store that he was talking about, that the lady wants you to wear gloves and everything.
I thought there was a couple other quilt stores there, and there are, but all they do is make and sell quilts.
Oh, well, that's no good.
They weren't actually fabric stores.
Oh, Bonnie says they were on their way to Calgary. Oh, so you're doing the cross-country thing, right?
We've done that before.
Yeah, we might be doing that again someday.
Actually, maybe. I actually wouldn't mind doing that again.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that again, too, because the last time we were out west was 95.
Yeah, we actually, and then what
And
we
we
did,
flew there.
we flew to Vancouver and then drove back to Calgary.
Yeah. We did the big drive once in our life.
Yeah, we drove in 1984. We drove from here to Vancouver and back, and then the next year in '85 we drove out your way to Nova Scotia,
Yeah, that's right.
New Brunswick, and back.
Yep.
And
We've done all the provinces with the exception of Newfoundland, and we haven't done any of the territories, but we'll have none of it. That's an inside joke. I don't know how many
actually,
people
that
will get-
wasn't it couldn't.
None
have
of it
been-
didn't
It couldn't
exist.
have been in '85 when we did that. It must have been in.
No, it was 86 when we went to the East Coast.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 86 when we went to the East
Yeah.
Coast. Yeah. Bonnie says, yes, we've done the drive quite a few times and also did the Vancouver one as well. Yeah, it's a
It's a
long haul, that's for sure. And once we get onto the prairies, my God, you think those things will never end. They just keep going. You see Winnipeg, you get past Thunder Bay in Ontario, you cross over to the Manitoba border, you see Winnipeg in the distance, and you're still 100 miles, not kilometers, 100 miles away from it, and you keep getting closer, but it doesn't seem to be getting closer. So, anyways, Dana says, time to come see us in Western Canada, Regina and Calgary, where I know you have friends. Oh yeah, we will. Of course, we have to wait till we get back to, you know, when we don't have to go around looking like we're bank robbers because of our masks and everything for that. Yeah, we did too, Bonnie.
It takes a while.
Wow, the first 10 minutes is beautiful when you get up to Northern Ontario. The next 3 days, it's when's as hell are we getting out of this goddamn province for it all? But holy shit. And then the disappointing part, well, in 1984 was, you get to Thunder Bay and you figure you're going to hit civilization. No! No! One moose and a beaver playing cards in the middle of the street. That's it.
It wasn't that bad.
Well, it felt like it in 1984. It's
Actually, what was scary is we were on a budget and we stayed at this little motel in Thunder Bay, and they had all these religious sayings on the
yeah.
hanging up in the room.
You know, like Jesus saves at the Royal Bank.
It was a family-run place.
You are sinners, you will go to hell. You know, real cheery things. Wake up in the morning for. Oh, Bonnie says no civilization there in 2018 either. Nice to hear that some things stay consistent.
Oh, who wants to go to Thunder Bay?
Yeah. You know, one of the places I really liked when we went on that first trip was Saskatoon. I thought Saskatoon was nice.
Actually, it was a university town.
Yeah.
So.
Regina was okay, but it was July and it smelled like shit. I mean,
actually, we were warned about that. We stopped in Winnipeg and saw friends of his that he went to university with. And we said, well, next stop's Regina. And they said, oh, forget about Regina, just go to Saskatoon.
Keep going to Saskatoon.
And we were going, why? They said, well, it smells this time of the year. And I guess because...
There's some kind of algae or something in the river?
I don't know if it's still as bad, but they said that, who knows, maybe...
Dana, tell us.
Dana will tell us.
Dana, tell us. Does Regina still smell like shit? Yeah, and I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. Of course, then you get to Winnipeg, and there's a very famous intersection in Winnipeg called, well, I thought it was Main and Portage, but apparently in Winnipeg, that's not how you say it. It's Main and Portage. They don't go the age. That's
we were told.
We were corrected. We're told we don't never give that never French pronunciation here. It's age. It's age. Portage. Not age. Not portage. Okay. All right.
Well, Dana just says Saskatoon is beautiful.
Oh, and she's in Regina. Okay. Yeah, and then you get to Calgary. And Calgary, when we went to Calgary, even in '95, I mean, we were there in '84 too. It had changed a lot from 1984. It had like developed along the river, and they had all this entertainment area and everything like that. And I suppose it's probably a lot like that, because when we went in '84, holy crap! At 6 at night, they roll up the streets.
Actually, we didn't stay in Calgary that time. We drove through it. We stayed in Edmonton and we drove through Calgary.
I thought
we never stayed in Calgary in 1984. We just drove by.
Well, it was a drive-by. Yeah, Edmonton's really neat. It's very modern, or at least it was last time we were there. Of course, the further west you go, of course, it's newer than where we live or Quebec or the eastern provinces, because that's how Canada was settled, right? Started from the east, moved its way to the west, sort of a thing. Bonnie says she loves Calgary. It's a beautiful city, but hate the weather. Yeah. So anyways, that might be, maybe next year we can do that, because, you know, I'm really not that interested anymore about traveling to too many other foreign places.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, but that could change, who knows. So anyways, yeah, so that was led from fabric to travel. Were they allowing cars in downtown Calgary in 1984? Was it still horses? There were horses. I think
They
we saw
actually
some.
had the Calgary
Well, it was
Power
this
Bill.
yeah, and actually when we were there, weren't we there at the same time pretty much as the Calgary Stampede?
No, I don't think so.
No, we weren't? Okay, I don't know. I thought we were.
It could have been.
It was July.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't know.
We were there.
No, we were there. I thought it was. Maybe it was.
No, it was July. It was we.
Well, we must have gone there. Maybe that's why we didn't stay. I can't remember why we didn't stay. Probably because we couldn't get a hotel room or something.
It might have been whatever. At least not one that would fit into our budget of like $20 a night.
Actually, we did find a hotel.
Yeah.
I remember in 1984 in Saskatoon, and it was an older hotel that they had completely renovated inside. We paid $26 to stay there the night, and the next morning we didn't realize that also included breakfast.
I thought that was Regina.
No, that was Saskatoon.
Was that Saskatoon? Or-
No, Regina was that Fleabag place.
Oh, the place with the you walk into the room and the door bangs on the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you
No,
put,
they had little old ladies sitting in the bar and the downstairs with their beer that they bought on the tray.
Yeah.
And had salt shaker next to them.
oh yeah, hey, come on in, laddie, we're having a drink. It's happy hour. Woo! Yeah, and that was too where you opened up the blind on the window and it was a brick wall. Oh my God! I thought one of those things existed in comedy movies, but apparently,
Yeah, it was,
1984, anyways, they sure existed. But then, just not to leave Bonnie out of this, the East Coast. 2 years later, we do the East Coast. Well, I made this joke because we get to the beginning of like where the Cabot Trail starts, and there's a sign. We stayed in a place called Bedeck, and there wasn't much in Bedeck. In fact,
There's the Alexander Graham Bell
museum. And I said to Walter, well, they only had one hotel, but they have more now, and it was booked, and it was a small little place. But next door,
we hadn't pre-booked anything.
no, we hadn't pre-booked anything, which we should have done. But in those days, we were foolish and younger, and they put us into a house next door. It had a bed and breakfast kind of a thing, and we'd never stayed in a bed and breakfast before at that time. So it was nice that we stayed there. But I made the joke that, what's there to do here at night? Well, they're having a movie at the Alexander Graham Bell Museum. Well, we went in the afternoon to the museum, checked it out. Nice little museum, that I remember. And I said to Walter, jokingly, well, probably not much nightlife here. We'd probably end up going back to the museum watching the movie. Guess what we did?
We went back.
We back to the museum to watch the movie. And then everything pointed, as far as entertainment was concerned of any sort in the East Coast, and this is 1984, I'm sure things have changed a lot now, that everything pointed to Halifax. You looked in those days we had phone books still, you're looking for entertainment. See Halifax and everything. So we eventually got to Halifax. And actually Halifax was okay. It had much more to do. Fredericton was cute. It was quaint. I don't know if it's still like that. Probably not. I mean, that was 84. It's 40 years ago. Hopefully there's been progress. But we were younger. We were looking for nightlife, go out to a bar and, music and all that kind of stuff. And now we probably look at it and go, actually, I'd like to see that movie. Alexander Graham Bell Museum. I think I'd enjoy that. Oh, well. Dana says, Regina used to stink on very hot days. I think the worst day here that I remember is going to an A&W for cold root beer, and they used the green algae tasting water in the root beer. Oh, absolutely disgusting. Fortunately, Wakana Lake has a new filtration system. Oh, is that what the water is?
Yeah, there's a lake there. I don't know if it's a man-made lake or what.
Yeah. And Bonnie says 1984 is a long time ago. Yeah, a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Cars in downtown Calgary now. Falafel Stampede was canceled this year, but it is July. I love the Stampede. Yeah, I always thought when I was younger that I would have liked to have gone to the Calgary Stampede. I don't know now.
I think it's like the C&E.
Yeah, I think so.
Canadian National Exhibition. They canceled that this year too for
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah, first time in like 100 years.
And we don't have any amusement parks that are open either, so.
No. So, well, whatever. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go and we're going to take a tour of our sewing room since people wanted to know what Walter had done to his since he got the new stuff. So we're going to do that in just a minute. This means that I will have to take the phone, which is what we're broadcasting on, with me, and I'll have to unplug the microphone with it. So we'll see with how it happens. We should be okay, but it's a bit of an experiment. And yeah, Bonnie, I'm sure it is probably a lot different from the CNE. The CNE anymore, anyways, is nothing more than a flea market. It's
yeah,
just,
it's there's no exhibition, and it's, they're actually the only exhibition they have is like with the animals and stuff like
yeah,
that. And the rest of it's like a giant flea market. Everything's geared to try and make money. They don't have anything that is like a free show anymore.
No.
Type of thing.
no. But anyways, just before we go on our little jaunt here through the house, I'm reading a book. Is anybody watching Anne with an E, which is, you know, Anne of Green Gables, but it's on Netflix right now, at least the Canadian Netflix, because it is a Canadian production. But it's had 3 seasons. This is its last season. I really like it. And somebody wrote a book about one of the characters in Anne of Green Gables, which actually is the woman Morella and her brother who adopted Anne, if you're familiar with the series or not. So this is a book about Morella when she was a much younger girl in the whole bit. Actually, I'm finding it quite a good read. So, you know, if you're interested in that kind of thing, it very much has, the writer of it has tried to copy the style, I think, of Lucy Maud Montgomery in the original Anne of Green Gables series as well, in its tone and everything. But it's, so far, I'm quite like it. So that's what I've been reading. And Walter made homemade falafels. And he doesn't even, and he's not even
Mediterranean, no.
not even Mediterranean, although you're kind of swarthy looking. Your complexion. But he had a lot of fun. There was some cursing involved. So I assume everybody knows what a falafel is. It's a chickpea, a ball of deep fried chickpea dust and spices. I don't know, you tell
spices.
them.
No, yeah, you grind up, you get chickpeas and dried chickpeas and you soak them for 24 hours, then you grind them all up and you add parsley to it and onions and garlic and some cumin and some coriander.
And you're supposed to have a pinch.
You're supposed to have a pinch of cardamom, but I decided it was too expensive.
Yeah, cardamom. We were out of cardamom, so we went to the bulk
I
barn.
don't know why we were out of cardamom.
No, I don't know why.
No, probably because it was expensive.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, so we went to the bulk barn to get some. We didn't because it was...
It was for 100 grams of it, it was $15.
$15?
Yeah, and for, I guess it's $64 a pound.
So, bit of a spice. So
That was a little bit, for a spice that I practically never use,
yeah.
I figured it wasn't worth getting. And
So
I'm sure a pinch wasn't missed.
no, so you have to make it from dried chickpeas. You can't use cans. So he had his beans soaking overnight.
Yeah, you can't use it because it has to grind up to a coarse, almost a ricey type like consistency. If you get canned ones, they're too mushy.
And he had to put that all in the food processor with the spices and parsley. We have lots of parsley because that's in our container garden as well. Tons of parsley. And had to grind it all up. Well, there was cursing and swearing and all of that because the food processor was not cooperating
Yeah, it wasn't.
with them. So, but then you deep fry them and whatnot, and you got what, 30 balls out of it?
Yeah, actually, and they came out good, so they
Yeah,
taste good.
they taste good.
I originally was buying them at Costco, and they're like $13, and you get about 24 or something like that. And they're okay. The last time we went to Costco, couldn't find them. So I said, maybe I should make them.
Bonnie says she used to pick her own cardamom in the field.
Oh.
Oh. Maybe we should look for cardamom seeds
No, I don't
and
know.
grow them. I don't know.
With my luck, I picked something poisonous. So.
I always thought cardamom came from like
East India or
East India or someplace like that. I didn't know that we could actually grow it in this country, but that's interesting. So, okay, so I am now going to,
Yeah, because you can't turn the camera around, right? So you got to do it by FaceTime.
what do you mean, FaceTime? No, I'll take the camera right off and hold it by hand, and then I can move the camera around. So, first of all, can you still hear us? Let us know. Can you
Still hear us?
Can you still hear us?
Somebody comment?
Yes, Laura says yes. Okay, now I'm going to try and,
You can't turn
I
it
can't,
around.
yes I can. There, I've got it turned around. I didn't think I could, but I found the button. Okay, so we're off for the trip, so go ahead. I can see comments on this side too, so. So we're going off into Walter's sewing room. He cleaned it up for you. So, what has he done? Well, okay, this is a very tiny room, so trying to go in here. This is his computer and everything. That's his screen for his computer, yes.
Yes.
He does like size.
Screen.
And then when he first got the, when I gave him my first sewing machine, that's this one, the 6700. He decided that he needed this Alex system. So he's got the Alex drawers, the black ones down there, and the tabletop. And that's his embroidery machine, the 550E. And then when he got the cover stitch machine, and he already had the serger, that's his serger, which was his sister's, that I used for a while when I first got into sewing, and then I decided I hated threading that damn piece of shit. So I bought the air thread, and then this is his new cover stitch machine. And so he went out and he got more Alex drawers and this. There used to be a big bookcase here. Actually, it was the match to this one, and it had all kinds of crap on it. So he weeded out the crap. And now he's got all his fabrics in here. And yeah, that's the bag he puts his sewing machine in. Technically, that's my bag too. That was my first bag. A lot of things are mine. And oh, this is one of Walter's bags right here. So, are you going to show us what you are making?
No, because I've got it in the bag right now, and it's all in pieces, so.
Oh, he's working on the shorts. So how far are you on the shorts?
I got the 2 front sides done. I got the cargo pockets done, but not on the shorts yet. I have to wait till the shorts sew together. Because the cargo pocket goes between the seam of the 2 sides. So then,
well, you said those cargo pockets were really big.
yeah, because they go, this one only is on the front, but these cargo pockets go from here all the way to the side, which are on the side.
Okay.
It's going to be kind of weird.
And
then, so I got pockets done in them, and we're working on the back pockets right now. That's tomorrow's class. And then the class after that's going to be putting the zipper in. And then I guess the next class will be putting the waistline in.
So what's Brendan have in store for you after that? Has he told you?
What, another class?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's whatever, it seems like whatever the women decide they want to do.
No. Bonnie wants to know what fabric you're using.
I'm using a stretch cotton twill.
Okay, there you go. And, well, you bought some fabric the other day for a shirt, didn't you? Or potential?
Yeah, I've bought different fabrics for shirts. I plan to do more shirts, more than shorts, but
yeah, well.
it's the fabric. Actually, this is a little piece of the fabric I have. It's a stretch. It's just a dark gray stretch cotton twill.
Oh, that's for the shorts.
For the shorts, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not exciting color or anything like that, but
It'll hide your mistakes.
yeah.
If you make any.
For the first time, I'm going boring.
Okay, so anyway, so if you want to see these machines a little bit more up close, because on my Idiot Quilter, I've had people ask about these. This is the 6700P by Janome. It is a great machine. If you're looking for a machine as Well, maybe not as your first machine, but if you want something that's going to last you a long time and give you lots of,
It's supposed to be as close to an industrial machine as it can for domestic.
it was recommended to me when I first got into quilting because it's got a fairly large throat, which is good. Um, but one thing it doesn't have, which wasn't a problem for me, is it doesn't have a free. Yes, it does have a free arm.
Doesn't have a
No, it
free
doesn't
arm.
have a free arm. But I was just looking at the base of this, though, is almost like a free arm.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. There's no free arm. I don't have the table on now. No.
Oh, okay. But it's been a good machine. Well, we haven't had it that long, but it was not a bad price. I think I paid what, 3,000 for it at the time.
20, yeah, about 3,000.
And this is the 550E Janome embroidery machine, and all it does is embroider. It doesn't sew.
I was doing a mask on it.
You know. And it's pretty reliable too. He's had less trouble with it than I have had with mine. I can tell you that, and mine's more elaborate. So maybe it just goes to show you, the more buzzers and bells you have on something, the more problems you're going to have. Bonnie says, what's the largest hoop for this one?
It is 7, almost 8 inches wide, 7.9 inches wide by 14 inches.
And then you've ordered another hoop, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a smaller hoop though. I ordered 7.9 by 11 inches.
It comes with what, 2 hoops or 3 hoops?
Yeah, the largest hoop is it comes with 4 hoops actually. That's the largest hoop.
Well, that's a fairly good size.
It's almost 8 inches by 14 inches.
Trying to get it all in here in the shot. Well, that's a good size hoop. Bonnie says 360 by 350 is my largest, she thinks.
I'm not sure what.
Yeah, Bonnie's talking in metric, and
sure
we're
what
talking
size
in
of
linear
metric it is.
with it. But yeah, so it's a pretty good machine. But as I said, all it does is embroider, so you can't do any sewing on it. Now, this old relic is what, 30 years old, 40 years old? This serger?
Hmm?
What are you doing?
I was just going to check something.
What?
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, what's the serger? That serger is probably it's probably close to 20 years old.
Oh, I thought it was older than that.
No.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, I thought it was.
No.
But here's the problem with it. You have to thread it manually. So you got to get in there. And not only do you have to get in there, but at one point for the lower looper, you've got to pass your thread through onto this side, then back through and up and around and all over. And getting your hands in there is a real pain in the butt. But just a side story, I took a class on how to use the serger, and there was a lady with exactly the same serger in my class as this one. And one of the first lessons is how to thread your serger. And most sergers thread the same way. So we're talking about it, and this one lady was saying about, yeah, it took her forever to get it all, thread it. And it turned out, and I said, yeah, I know, and especially this part is really difficult. And she goes, that side opens up? And I looked at her and said, you mean you threaded this machine without opening up the side? And she said she did. She didn't know it opened up. And I said, I don't know how you did that. No way.
Actually, the hoop I just checked that I've got, the biggest hoop,
Yeah.
it's 200 by 360.
Oh, okay. 200 by 360. And Bonnie said hers was what, 300 by 360?
Could be, yeah.
Something. So that would make the one that she's got a little bigger.
Wider.
And this is the latest machine, and it looks like a serger, but it doesn't cut fabric, and it's just basically for hemming. So, it's for those people who are into serious garment making. I guess Walter's a serious garment maker now with that. And you've got what you said, you've got the 3 needle one.
Yeah.
Is
There's
there
a
one?
4 needle one you can get as well that's more for if you're doing a lot stretchier type fabrics and stuff. And it would be on back, it's on back order, so I just decided to get this one for probably for the stuff that I'm going to be doing on it. It'll be more than enough for me.
Yeah, well, Bonnie said she was curious about it, so she thanked us for showing it. So, yeah, so he's got lots of drawers down here. Alex units are good, but apparently IKEA has got them on back order right now. He also has this little thing, which is not his, it's mine. But this is the Cricut Easy Press, and you use it for what? Putting your interfacing down.
Yeah, putting fusible interfacing. It's nice because it's like a dry iron, and it's got a big surface area.
Yeah. So basically, if you're doing T-shirts or something, like,
well,
he's not doing T-shirts,
if
but
I'm doing a bag or something, I need a big surface that I have to put interfacing on.
Yeah.
Right. So it's handy rather than doing it on an iron and getting a small iron and going over it like 50 times. Yeah. I can just do one great big huge piece and right away.
So yeah, so he might as well use it up here because I bought it. I've hardly ever used it. Bonnie says that would be great for applique in the hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, you could do that too with it. Okay, so that's Walter's sewing area. So we're going to mosey on down, and hopefully everybody is still connected to us.
Oh, it's still working for me.
Anne says, nice sewing room. And off we go. And my sewing area isn't any bigger than Walter's. In fact, it's probably smaller. So, this is my sewing area. Now, this is one half of Walter's workshop because way over there in the dark, that's the workshop. And this half I share with my treadmill, which is folded up at the moment, which is a nice thing that it does fold up. Yeah, I do have it all organized, but that's the kind of person that I am. Yeah, all of these blue baskets come from the dollar store, and they're all labeled. They have my fabrics in them. So you can see I've got a lot of fabric going on in here, and they're organized by color, and then some of it's organized by theme, like Christmas fabrics. And then I have some that are organized by, like, if they're a charm pack or they're strips or whatever. These cases down here hold all my current projects or projects I would like to get to. And what I do is I will buy the fabric and everything and put them in those cases, and then I label them. As you can see, I should turn on another light here. And I label them for what the project is. And then, so this area are a couple of folding tables. And then I found a big piece of plywood. I think it's 3/4 inch plywood. Or is it inch? Maybe, you know, I'm probably 3/4 inch. And I covered it with batting and then a piece of canvas. And I was using it when I first started out as my combination cutting area and pressing. So I can take the cutting mat off of that, and if I need a wider area for pressing, I can use the underneath part of that as well. And then I got into the wool mats, and so if I don't need anything much bigger than the wool mat, or I don't need that whole area, then I just do it on the wool mat. Of course, this is my new iron, my sophisticated Steam Pro Rowenta, which I love, that Walter gave me for my birthday. And then I have over here a bunch of drawers that are all labeled. Can you tell that I like to label things? I have several label makers. Yeah. It is Bonnie. It is a nice iron. Believe me. I like it a lot. So, you know, your miscellaneous, like my rotary cutters, Janome parts, things like that are all in those drawers. And over here, yeah, I will. Over here is my television screen, which is hooked to my computer. So while I'm sewing, and I'll show you the sewing machine in a second, I can watch that, or when I'm doing a Zoom or something, it all comes up on that screen. So I still needed a lot of space to hold things. So I put in command hooks on the back of the door. That holds a variety of different things. I have more folding tables in here. Stabilizers. This gets a little junky over here. I've got a couple of those. Yeah, this is my air threader, my serger. I don't use it a lot, so that's why it sits over here. When I want to use it, I take it off, take it over to the other counter. I keep playing with the organization of this over here. Yeah, so I've got, this is my patterns. I collect patterns. I mean, I'll never get through all of those patterns in 1,000 years. And then I also collect embroidery designs, so that's what's in here. And then there's more fabric. Walter bought this kit some time ago, so he's given it to me to do it. It's a Borgello. Actually, I love the colors in it. So someday I'll get to that. And then I have another project box here. This is someday going to be maybe a quilt, maybe a wall hanging. I don't know. It's embroidery, though. And other projects I have laid out in boxes is a work in progress. Right now I'm working on a Halloween wall hanging, and it's all embroidery. And so there'll be 16 of these blocks. Right now I've got 4 of them done because each block takes almost 2 hours to embroider with all the thread changes and things like that. But I think it's going to look really cool when I get it done. And those blocks have sashing pieces like this. I just made one of them today to see what it would look like, but basically, you know, it'll all lay out into the pieces. And then I love fat quarters, and I have a lot of fat quarters of fabric, and that's just some of them. Then I've got Ruscots from IKEA, and they hold my threads and larger pieces of fabric. Yeah, I've got a thing with Monfil about their. This is the thread I use principally for quilting, like the quilting part of it, not the piecing. So I've got like pretty much every color they have. Might be a couple I don't have there. More embroidery thread down here, more fabric. So yeah. And there's batting everywhere as well, because as a quilter, you need batting. Now, speaking of embroidery thread, so you see, I have an Alex unit here. So this is over by the window area, my computer there that I already mentioned. And let's see, this is where I keep my embroidery threads. Every one of those drawers is embroidery thread, solid. Can you have too much embroidery thread?
You have pretty much the full collection of Floriani, so that's about that's about 1,100 threads.
Yeah, and you don't even want to start doing the mathematics on how much that costs.
Considering that they cost $6.99 each.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, exactly, Bonnie. You can never have too many threads. So this is my latest sewing machine that I bought. It's the Skyline S7 by Janome. All my machines are Janome. And we're Janome people because that's what I started with, and that's what our local dealer deals with, so that's why we have Janome. But I do like the Janome, in spite of the problems I've had with the 15,000, which they're still working on, by the way. This was my little travel one. I got it because the 15,000 is way too heavy to lug to classes. So I got this one. It's simply for piecing. Actually, it's a nice little machine. But this is the one that I'll probably, actually, if I ever get back to classes again, that I'll probably take the classes because it's a little bit more sophisticated and it's not too bad weight-wise. Also, it has a free arm. So does the other little one on it. This is, well, this is a design wall of sorts, but I never use a design wall. So really it just holds bits and pieces of odd things that I've experimented on for now. And more thread, and I do use Aurifil, and I have a lot of Aurifil. I love Aurifil. And then this is the main machine, the beast. And you've seen this one before, the 15,000. And this actually isn't my machine. This is the store's machine right now. But I do like it. But it's heavy. It weighs almost 40 pounds. So, you know, if you're lugging that to a class, it kind of kills you. So anyways, so this is another perspective. So you can see that when, like Dana, Dana knows because we belong to the same membership group, the Quilters Way. And that's how I watch Dana. And Dana sees me sitting behind my sewing machine when we meet every other week or so on through that club. So this is my sewing area. This is all I've got. And up here, these are UFOs. These are all quilts, the quilt tops, that I haven't got around yet to layering and actually quilting, which I've got to get to at some point in time. And these are my bags that I make or have made. This is my favorite bag. This one. This was the most elaborate one I've ever made, and it turned out really nice. And Bonnie, that's Northcott fabric that I used in that. I use a lot of Northcott. So, yeah, but I need a bigger room. So someday I'm going to get around to getting my craft room reorganized, new furniture in there. That's the plan. Although I have to say, you know, the bigger your space, the more you'll fill it up. I know that from my crafting days. And I don't mind this space. It works out okay. Yes, that is Stonehenge fabric, Marilyn. So anyways, that's our sewing areas. Mm-hmm. Can you click the switch on the wall there, please, to turn off my sewing machine? And pull the, yeah. So we'll head back up. So I hope that didn't bore you too much. I had a few people ask, they want to see Walter's sewing room, so we thought we'd do that. Laura says, put any more thought into turning your living room upstairs into a sewing area.
No.
No, this is the area that one time I wasn't really that serious about it, but I thought, well, you know, we could get rid of the old lady furniture. I mean, we've had this couch, this whole thing in the 25 years we've lived here, and we've never, I mean, this room's been painted several times, but we've never changed the furniture. And the furniture is actually in really great shape because it was brand new when we bought it, and we hardly ever use this room. We do use the dining room on an occasion. And this was a dining room suite that's almost 100 years old. It was my grandparents'. I inherited it. And yeah, you could do this, but the problem is it's the layout of this house. If you were to make this into a sewing room, you see it, because it's got an open concept. I mean, there's the front door of the house. You come up the stairs and bang. So yeah, probably not the most practical. So we're back into the kitchen, so I'm going to set you guys onto the tripod here. So bear with me as I jostle you about for a minute. And I guess switch the camera. Oops. Okay, and plug you back in for sound. Okay, can you hear us okay? Let us know. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, that's true, Bonnie. Okay, and you can hear us good. Is that Robert Bateman's swan painting?
No, it's not.
No, that's not a Bateman. That was Walter's sister's as well. We kind of inherit that after she passed away.
I don't know.
I don't know
it's
who
not
it is.
worth much. I know that.
No, no, it just looks good.
It is a signed print, but I can't remember who did it.
No, not really sure. We do have a limited print of one of the group of 7. Who is it that we have the group of 7? What's his name? I'm having a mental block.
I can't remember. Lawrence? Something Lawrence?
No, it's not Lawrence. It's what's it say on it? No.
Carmichael.
Is it a Carmichael?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carmichael. I won it at a auction. So anyways, yep, that was our little sewing room thing. So I don't know what we'll ever do if we ever have to move out of this house. We have a lot of stuff we have to get rid of, and we keep talking about that. And yeah, that's as far as we get, as we talk about it. So anyways, yep, that was that. One thing I'm just going to ask you now, survey. I am toying with the idea. You know that, of course, you know that we have Zoom, a subscription to Zoom. And I put out a few weeks ago, and only Jeannie replied, where I said, you know, about doing sort of a live sew and share kind of a thing, or sewing coffee, or sewing chat. I think that's what I'd call it, sew and chat. You know, where people who want it, not just for sewing, but crafting as well, where, you know, you could tune into the Zoom, and we're all working maybe on something as a project, and we could share what we're working on and just talk about it as we're working on it. Sort of like going to a retreat, but not for a whole day, just for maybe an hour or two or something like that. So I'm thinking of trying something like that, but the problem with Zoom is, well, it's not really a problem, but you need to have people's email addresses to send them the link, like I did with those of you that joined in on the Zoom that we did a few weeks ago. But I can also embed the link into the comments of one of my YouTube videos. So for example, I would do an Idiot Quilter episode, and then I would say that on such and such a date at such and such a time, you know, if you want to tune in, I'm doing a sew and chat or craft and chat or whatever kind of thing. And just use the link that's in the show notes below, kind of a thing. Now, the one danger, although I don't think it's really a major concern, is that you get trolls, because that isn't private then, in terms of, it would be private, like as I can control who gets on. Like they can sit in what's called the waiting room in Zoom, and then I have to give them permission to get on or not. And if I don't want them there, if I didn't recognize the person or whatever, I'd simply just ignore them and block them from it. So it's really not that big of a privacy issue. But I'm just wondering how people would feel about doing that, if they would be interested. If I said, you know, I'm going to, in a week's time, like after one of the Idiot Quilters or on my blog or something, here's the link, I'm going to do this on a certain date at a certain time. How many people would think that that might be something they might be interested in tuning into? I mean, there's no obligation for it or anything like that. It's just, you know, I just want to know if I'd have people in. Dana says count her in. Because I might try it. It'll be an experiment the first time, but if it works, then that's fine. Saw another message coming up here, but it's coming up. Sounds like fun, but I have obligations every morning. Yeah, I don't think I would do it in the morning. I think I would probably do it early afternoon. Only because for people like Dana out west, or that, it makes it, you know, really early. Like if I did it at 9 o'clock in the morning, for Dana it would be what, 8, 7 o'clock?
They're 2 hours difference.
Is Regina 2 hours difference too? So yeah. But then again, of course, people in England and whatnot, or in Western United States, you see, you can't find a time, thanks to timelines, that's going to work for everybody. But I don't know. I'm just putting it out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, what happens, happens. Whatever. Okay. Well, what else to talk about? I don't know if there's anything else to talk about.
Well, try not to talk about COVID because...
You notice that? We did not use the C word at all. We tried to stay away from it.
So, will I join in for my sewing room? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know.
He could.
I could.
He could. Who knows? You never know. It would be nice.
Maybe, I could do that.
And if we do it in the early afternoon, you would be up.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Probably. If it was in the morning, you wouldn't be up. No. Okay, well, I'll think about it. Oh, Bonnie says falafel recipe. Where to find it?
Okay. What's it called?
Falafel recipe.
I looked at a few of them that.
He's going off to find it. I don't think it's that difficult. Although he did do a lot of cursing and swearing, as I said, when he was doing it, but that was because the food processor we have sucks. Anyways, what else? You know, during this whole situation that we're in, there isn't a lot more to talk about, especially when you try to avoid talking about it. Okay, did you find it?
It's Tori Ave. Toriavey. Tori Ave. That's the name. And I'm not sure if I have the address on here or not. She does, I guess, a whole lot of different things. I don't have the address on there.
Well, is it like an independent site or?
Yeah, you just look it up.
So Tori Avery, T-O-R.
No, A-V-E-Y.
A-V-E-Y. Oh, Avi. Avi?
Yeah, just look up Tori. It's toriavey.com. It's TORIAVEY.com.
Yeah, she's got it.
Recipes.
Bonnie says she'll Google it and she's got the right
Yeah.
spelling for it. So
Yeah. And actually it worked out okay. And she's got all these different options that if you don't, like, I mean, what happens is the stuff gets really granular. And when you're trying to shape it into balls, you got to kind of squeeze them together to shape into balls. And then you think they'll fall apart when they fry, but actually once you get them in the oil, they'll stick together.
now you
And
did.
she said if you're having a hard time getting it to stick together, you can add an egg to it or something like that.
And you did them in a regular deep fryer, not just a pan with oil.
Yeah,
Kind of a thing.
we have a deep fryer and we don't use it very often, but I put it in the deep fryer and they fried up really nice.
Yeah, they came out pretty good.
And they taste
Actually,
good.
They taste
too,
good, yeah. So, anyways. Okay, so, any other questions, thoughts, feelings? Anybody's got on here? Laura says, thanks, Walter. I'm going to try it as well. Oh, got everybody
Actually,
on the
it's a little time consuming, but they came out good.
And you can freeze them.
Well, that's what I do is I freeze them, and then whenever I want to make a falafel or something like that, I take a few out and just nuke them, and to make my falafel.
Oh, congratulations, Bonnie. Bonnie says it's her anniversary this week, 48 years.
Wow! Congratulations.
Jeez. Gee, Bonnie.
You were just an infant when you got married.
Yeah,
right?
because I was going to say, quite honestly, when, like, you know, when I said the day we had the Zoom and how you picture what people look like from what they write, and it's not, and I thought, you don't look old enough to have been married for 48 years. Anyways, what's your moisturizer? Wow. I always say it's moisturizer. Yeah, Laura says they freeze well. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I usually bought them at Costco. They were a good price, but last time we were there, we didn't have any.
They were out of falafels.
And so I thought I'd try to make them. Actually, they're cheap to make, so.
Yeah, so there you go. Okay, I think that's got it. So, yeah, we're out of time anyway, so
Yeah.
whatever. So, okay, so hope you enjoyed the little tour today. I hope you enjoyed the fact that we tried to stay away from you-know-what to talk about. And, yeah, and I'll probably look for it. I'll probably let you know. I'll probably put it in my vlog, but I'll probably put it in the vlog and put it in the episode of The Idiot Quilter as to when I might do this Zoom thing. And we'll see from there. If you're interested and you want to do it, great. If you're not, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I treat it like a princess for 48 years, so don't have to age poorly. That must be the trick. Okay, so everybody have a good week, and we'll talk to everybody next week. My vlog will be up tomorrow as usual. And stay safe.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.